Hello, everybody. Teresa Hocko here with 31 Virtues. Many of you know now that I'm the girl who wrote the book 31 Virtues. Today, I want to talk with you about probably one of the most important subjects: mental health. It's May 6, 2021. And this is Mental Health Week. But the fact is, every week, every day is mental health time to really focus on where we are individually, where we are with our loved ones and friends, where we are in the world. So it's a very big topic for sure. And first off, I have to say, I've been in health and wellness for almost 3 decades, and by no means am I a medical professional when it comes to mental health. I merely try to understand it like everybody else. And so I'm the kind of person that likes to go to the source. And what I've done is I've talked to someone who actually has lived uh, in that space where it doesn't feel good. You don't feel like you fit in. You don't feel like it's like you're neither in or out. And it's a hard place to be. And so I'm going to be going back and forth with my notes over here because um, she gave me so many great things for me to pass on to you today so we can all educate ourselves as to what is mental health, or what is lack of mental wellness. What is it? What causes it? And what a person that is suffering from a mental illness, what do they want? What do they want from us? From a friend, from a spouse, from a loved one? What do they need? So I'm going to cover these things today. And one of the first things she told me uh, to really look out for is a person suffering from mental illness may fluctuate from being a big extrovert to an introvert. They fade away, in fact. They can be out in the world and they're the life of a party, and then a week later, you couldn't connect with them if you wanted to, like no matter what you do. So she said that is a big key thing to look out for. And she said people with mental health are afraid to be judged. So a lot of times what happens is they'll turn around and bring people into their life that they want to fix them. And it makes them feel better, but they feel understood somehow because they can relate to those people. So that's a biggie. And I asked her, where do you think uh, a mental illness, depression, any of that comes from? And she said a lot of times PTSD, or going through situations uh, in one's life that creates a lot of trauma. And what ends up happening is if that person is not around aware, loving people, then they build a wall. They build this huge wall and they suppress things. And so if it's not caught and they don't get help for it, then what ends up happening is the wall gets thicker and thicker, and it's like Fort Knox. And so usually it comes from some trauma. And when most people think of trauma, they think of some big car accident or something huge, but not necessarily true all the time. Sometimes it can be nothing to us, but it can be a complete traumatic thing to a small child. So it's important, I guess, to be aware. And just looking here, and she said the what happens a lot of times is if the trauma, PTSD, that mental unwellness is not taken care of, then of course what happens is addictions can occur. And it makes sense. If the pain is so great, we try to find some way to desensitize that pain. You know, really, we were put on the earth to feel pleasure, to feel loved. But if that's not our scenario, then we'll do whatever it takes to numb that pain. And she said one of the things that she's found is she's felt very lonely, feeling alone a lot of the times. Um, so then what happens is she would you would jump into avoidance because people do reach out many times, but the person will just avoid you. It's very tough for the person going through all this pain, but it's also equally as tough for the people on the receiving end of that person. Because if you don't understand how depression feels or mental unwellness feels or just ill health, people, what we have a tendency to do is go, oh, why is she acting that way? It seems so strange. I don't get her. I don't get him. But the fact is, that's just a very superficial judgment. Actually, the very thing that person doesn't want. She wants or he wants to be loved and not judged, to just be loved no matter what. So it's a real interesting thing because this person, and I honor this person for being open and expressing to me. It takes so much courage to just make yourself vulnerable and bare your soul. So thank you to the person who shared this with me. And I think she really realized she just wanted to reach out and help others who go through this and continue to go through this or have healed from this mental illness. So I asked her about some of the signs to look for uh, because if you don't really understand, then at least if we can recognize some of the signs, it can be helpful. And so one of the signs was definitely avoidance, pulling away, and you're not sure why. You just want to remove yourself from the people who you know love you. Um, Going from outgoing to completely shutting down and hiding, that that is a big sign. Um, and if someone is really deep into their mental illness, they might say things like comments like, heaven is pretty, you don't have to be afraid to die. um, when you die, would you rather be cremated or buried? People talking about death. Um, they act like they have a double lifestyle. What they really feel on the inside is completely the opposite of what they show on the outside. Um, Start giving away their things randomly. You really need to be concerned at that point. You know, it's almost like they're preparing to leave. Or they start using drugs or alcohol regularly and start living maybe a dangerous type of lifestyle. And at that point, many times their friends will be the same because uh, that's where they feel comfortable. So it's a really difficult place to be because we're all in this world together and we're all here to help each other. But if you feel like you're an outcast because you don't fit into the world, you can't keep a job, and people on the outside don't even understand, they go, I don't understand, flippantly judging. That's what I would call that. But we never really truly know someone unless we're on the inside of them. Or if we're lucky enough, like me, to have this brave person express to me what it feels like. And when they talk uh, to you, sometimes they talk like their mind is broken. They don't really make a whole lot of sense. So, a lot of these signs that I talked about, they are coming from a person who has been there and sometimes go back to being there. So, I think it's really important that we take what this person said to heart. Many times we have people in our life that show some or many of these signs, and we just go, oh, I don't know. I don't know how to handle that person. And I get it. We're not equipped to. If we don't know what's going on and a person's avoiding or shutting themselves away from you, it's really tough. So, how I see it is the person that's going through such hardships of mind, it's really tough for them. And for the person or people on the receiving end, it's equally as tough for them in a different way. And so I'm a firm believer that we can't heal what we don't acknowledge. So at least by educating ourselves to see the signs and understand the signs, it's at that point where we can really help. You know, if we saw somebody across the road with uh, a cast on their leg and they were having a problem, we would be the first to run across that road and help that person do whatever they needed. And the same is true and needed for us to really uh, be more aware of really seeing things from within. Because just because we don't see a cast doesn't mean that that person is not wounded in some way. So I believe because we're all in this world together, as Baha'u'llah says, we're all drops in one ocean. And so, because of that, I think if we are not experiencing mental illness, then we have a responsibility to people in our life that are going through these dark times. No, we're not responsible for their words, actions, behaviors. We're not responsible for them, for their behavior. But as a human being, we are responsible to them, to help them where we can. So if we are aware, and I believe that everybody in this world it has been uh, affected by mental illness, whether it's ourselves directly, a child, a spouse, a loved one, a friend, you name it. We've all been somewhere where we've experienced someone else going through some really rough times. And I asked this person, I said, so what would you need? And the answer I got, which is something I already thought of, was to be loved unconditionally, no judgments, to be accepted just the way they are. Not not when they get better, and you know, not when they do this and not when they do that, but to be loved and accepted exactly the way they are. Because at that point, healing starts. And that's exciting. And to show kindness and compassion. Sometimes I've noticed that we can show kindness and compassion to a stranger more than the people close to us. You know, over the years, oh gosh, going on 20 years now, I've had this amazing woman in my life. Her name is Farouz. And over the years, I've had struggles with, you know, someone very close to me, and I would express, I call Farouz my spiritual mom. And over the years, I would express to her what was going on. And I would be perplexed. I don't know how to deal with this person. And I would be talking like that. And no matter what the problem was, she would say, sweetheart, love them more. Whew. And in the beginning, I used to think, what the heck? She just goes, love them more. No matter what they do, just love them. And so over the 20 years, it finally sunk in. And I thought, I am just loving you. Not because of anything, but because you're you and you deserve my love. So, and I am living proof that what Faru said is totally true. So now when I see someone, acting erratically or shut down or something that's not the norm, I just say to myself, I am loving you and accepting you more. And in a way, it's a little selfish because by adopting that thought process, I have found that it's brought me more peace. But not only that, it's brought that person closer, closer to me. And that is like magnificent. So I hope that today, by expressing to you some of the signs of people that are not well mentally, they may be depressed, they may be going through some big trauma, whatever it is, I just say, just love them. And I think by doing that, by extending ourselves out to them, it'll help bring them back. Because I am a firm believer that love just can heal the world. And if we all just do our own part with the people in our lives, then I think that's where the real magic happens. So thank you for listening to me today and letting me share these things that this other person so openly shared with me. And maybe together we can all create a better world. If anything I've said today that has inspired, motivated, or uplifted you, please leave a note at the bottom of this YouTube video. I'd love to hear from you. Any feedback will be great. And if you're interested in learning more about 31 virtues, love, understanding, kindness, please check out amazon.ca for my book 31 Virtues or audibles.com. I really appreciate you taking the time, and please hit the subscribe button. It helps me to keep making these, I think, important videos. So have a wonderful, blessed day. Thank you so much. Bye for now.